Today, I'll be giving you a review of set 75375, The Ghost and Phantom 2. With 1,394 pieces, over 1,400 if you include extra parts, this set is quite large. Enough with the facts, let's get straight into a review of the set. Of the 5 minifigures that come in the set, I personally have no real arguments against them. I mean, some people have said that this officer guy should have dual molded legs or printed legs, and I actually think he looks really nice without them. Others have said that like Chopper's legs don't really match with his body and he looks off, and I personally don't see it as a big issue. I think Chopper looks really, really good as a minifigure here. There's nothing I would change. My only thing is that with Hera, I do not like how her eyes have no pupils in them. From the live-action Ahsoka show that we saw this in, that's not really how it actually looked. But I still think that overall, these are some really, really nice figures that go with the set. Now, one detail the LEGO did that I love about this minifigure is that most figures with huge headpieces can't really move their heads side to side. Otherwise, their helmet will cover it. However, with this figure, the headpiece can already move side to side slightly, which means that you can really angle the head in a direction, and it's not going to get covered up, which lets you look off to the angle, which is really nice considering some figures, when you try to do that, immediately get covered up by their helmet. One thing I did wish they'd done with the minifigures is made Jason's hair green, because then it would be movie and show accurate. However, I am not mad with the color they went for, and I still think the figure looks phenomenal, especially with that torso printing. I mean, that just looks really nice. So yeah, my overall take on the figures is they're all really awesome, and I think that these are great figures to have with the set. But enough about the figures, let's bring in the accessories. Now, for how big this set is, I'm a little disappointed there weren't more Easter eggs or hidden references. They of course have the Meluron fruit, which is a really fun Easter egg. But besides that, there's just the basic blaster pistols, and then the shiny pistol binocular that goes into the back of the Phantom 2. So yeah, a little disappointed on the accessories area, but I mean, the set isn't, you don't go buy this set because of the accessories. You're really buying it for the minifigures, and arguably the main reason you buy it is for the Ghost. So I'm not disappointed with the accessory selection, I just wish there was a little bit more of it. Now, before we get into the review of the Ghost, we're going to review the Phantom. Now, for scale accuracy, it's quite small compared to what it would be in universe. However, if you were to upscale this to proper scale, you'd also have to upscale the Ghost, and then we're getting to UCS territory. So for a play scale set, I think this is perfect. Now, the back here has a little cargo section that has the pistol and binoculars I showed you earlier, as well as the nice little thrusters here. And then the front section opens up so you can fit a minifigure in the cockpit. To put a minifigure in the cockpit, you really just put them in a sitting position, and then you're good to go. And then you can put Jason in there as well, and then you can just really throw him in there. And it looks pretty fine like that. And then they left this part open so you can throw Chopper's head on top, just like it would be seen in the film, so that he can be on the outside of the ship, which I think looks really, really nice. On that note, I think that having to actually fit the entire Chopper into here is just going to take up way too much room. And while it does sound like something LEGO would actually do if this were properly scaled for how small it is compared to an actual minifigure, I feel like they've done a great job here. And even just the inclusion of that detail is something I wouldn't have expected normally. So there's not really a whole lot to go over on this Phantom 2, but there are these little pieces here that represent blasters, which is a little fun addition. And even though they can't shoot and there's no shooter features on this ship, I still think it's really nice and looks great. And in my opinion, if LEGO was to try to do like a stud shooter or something on here, I think it just throws off the whole look they're going for. So I'm really happy that it just looks the way it does. So for a quick size comparison, this is the ship next to a standard minifigure. And then this is the AV7 that LEGO released in their battle pack, which surprisingly they're actually pretty similar in length and close in height. One last thing to add, I'm a little disappointed it only fits one minifigure because this was their transport ship from the Ghost, and so typically it would hold all 5 Ghost crew members at one time. But that being said, at the scale that LEGO decided to release it in, I am perfectly happy with how it is. and I think that it just looks really, really screen accurate and really, really nice when compared in scale to the Ghost. And on that note, here is what the Lego Ghost looks like. So first off, this ship is really, really scaled nicely. I love how it feels huge, but yet is still perfectly a good play scale vehicle. I think Lego did a really, really good job with it there. So yeah, this ship just looks really, really nice. I love how accurate it looks, and even though it's smaller than it would be, in universe this would actually be a little bigger than the Millennium Falcon. I still think for the scale they chose to go, it is really, really perfectly done, and I mean, it just looks nice from pretty much any angle you want to display it from. There are little docking ramps on either side of the vehicle, which look really nice, and even though a minifigure definitely cannot fit through there and taking it off does nothing, I still think that it looks really, really clean, but there are boarding ramps underneath that do go into the main area, so it's not like that area is useless, and I still think that it looks really cool, and it does have a cool function of hiding the little ramp underneath. I also love the paint scheme that they did with this. I mean, the color job is beautiful. The red marks here, some of the sand blue over here, it just looks exactly like the Ghost would be in universe. Just quite beautiful, honestly. Back towards the engines, this right here is where the Phantom 2 would dock with it, which I'll show you in a minute. But just first, I mean, the detailing on these engines is really nice. They use this hot dog piece right there to just give it some nice curvature. And I mean, these look like huge engines too, so I feel like that they just did a really, really good job back here. And I'm pretty sure that these are supposed to be orange, not blue, but they're also blue on the Phantom, and so I don't really know if maybe the Ahsoka series has it in blue and I just didn't notice, because I'm pretty sure those are supposed to be orange. But I mean, it doesn't really matter, and it still looks quite insane. And then, of course, when you want to attach the Phantom, you just take those little holes and you can put it right in there, and it just goes on really cleanly. And it looks really nice with the Phantom there. It doesn't interrupt the engines. Everything sits nice, flush, and clean. It leaves no gaps right here, and I love how nice that looks. And then I would argue the main play feature is down here with this cannon, to where turning the cannon shoots the spring-loaded shooters, and I think that's such a nice detail. I mean, I didn't even know that this was possible to do in Lego, but I mean, that just looks so cool. So you can turn it side by side and have it be shooting, and I think that is a super nice addition and a super unique play feature that I haven't seen on another set so far. From a side profile, this vehicle looks really, really nice. And while it does have some exposed Technic under here, I highly doubt you're ever going to be viewing it from that angle. So I think that's fine. And then I also really love the grilling they added here with these little decals on the side. The sideways Lego bricks. It just looks really, really nice. And I think it really helps cover up that gap without leaving anything looking off. I do wish they'd put like a row of tile right here to help cover up that little stud gap. But again, when you're viewing it from pretty much any other angle, it looks flush and there's not a problem with it. But enough with the exterior of this build. Let's get straight into the interior, which is a little bigger than you might assume. So the first part of the interior we'll look at is the gunner's seat, which is just right in here. It slides out really easily from the Ghost, and then yeah. There's plenty of room in there for you to put in a minifigure so that he can shoot. And then inside, you see he has a little control panel or control stick, which is really nice. And I love the use of that Inquisitor's lightsaber piece. I don't think there's a better piece that you could use there. It just looks really, really nice. And then, yeah, you can just fold that up and then slide it right back into the Ghost. And, yeah, and now you've got a gunner in there. It looks really nice. Now, this top hatch also completely detaches, leaving you with a very, very spacious interior. I mean, I'm a little surprised by how much room there's left in there. You have a lot of room, especially if I would just put a minifigure in there. I mean, that's a much bigger interior than I feel like most sets at this scale would get, because it'd be filled with pieces and Technic. These two bricks represent where Chopper's supposed to go, so that he doesn't slide around or move in the ship. And then you even get the little detail of a sink back here, which just is a fun little Easter egg and detail. And your crate with the Melu run can go right there next to it. Inside here, we also have the cockpit, where you can fit one minifigure and then close the hatch so they can drive the ship. I'm a little disappointed you can't fit more than one, but I mean, especially when you look at the space actually available, how could you fit more than one? That's not really going to be possible at this scale. Another really cool feature is that those boarding ramps I showed you earlier that just come down right here actually connects with the inside. So if you wanted to, you can send the troops out of the airlock hole, or you could push them back in through here. There's also a little control panel right here, which I suppose is just to make a little command station for someone so that you can sit them down and they can be controlling some part of the ship, maybe like a shield array or something. But I do feel like it's a little useless and more of just a thrown piece there to look cool than an actual nice addition to the interior. The little hatch that goes on top of the Ghost also has this space for a gunner. And so you can just take a figure, put them in there, and then shut the lid. And now you have a gunner inside of the ball turret, which looks nice. Now, unfortunately, this is locked in here, so you can't turn it sideways. It doesn't twist like it did in the first version of this set. But that gives it more stability, and I think it looks really, really nice this way as well. Plus, you can then put this back on here with the gunner in there, and so it's not like it takes anything away from the set having a gunner. Now, while I am happy that this set has a huge and spacious interior, I do feel like there's not really much going on here, and that LEGO had a lot more opportunity to throw some panels or some controls or chairs or something else in there. However, I do think that kind of does leave it to you to do what you want with the interior, so that it's not like gridlocked into one specific scene or part of this ship, which I do think is a pretty cool thing. So definitely there's a lot of playability here, and you can just kind of add what pieces you want and make this your own interior. Another thing to go with that is that these panels can come off, and there is no interior inside of them. It's mainly just so these can clip on and have the right distance and look really nice. But I do feel like that's a wasted space. I mean, you could probably put a lot in there, especially if you like remove some of these excess plates and parts until you could have room to actually build like a small interior or a small part of the ship or something. Then again, you can do that yourself, even though it's not an official part of the set. Just the set doesn't come with anything there, just an empty void space. That being said, with the panels on, it does look really, really clean and really, really nice. And I am quite happy with this Ghost. I feel like this is the best version that LEGO has released, and I am very, very happy I bought it. It looks really nice from almost any angle you want to display it from. And the small pieces of detail, like this painter's brush, or these little tubes on the back of the engines, I feel like just add to it in a way that they would be lacking without it. For a quick size comparison, this is the Ghost next to a standard minifigure, and I think in this aspect, LEGO nailed how big this ship feels, especially just compared to a single minifigure. This ship is absolutely huge. Compared to the LEGO AV7 cannon, the ship is also quite big, and it just feels absolutely massive when put next to it. And then next to the TIE Bomber, this set feels a little smaller now. It doesn't feel nearly as huge, but when you're looking at it head on, they don't look nearly that big. But if I flip them around, the Ghost doesn't even fit in my screen now. So yeah, it absolutely is huge compared to the TIE Bomber, which is already praised to being a pretty big set. Now, one thing I do plan to do in the future is to mod this set, and I'm hoping to actually do this interior space and do some interior underneath these panels and maybe even mod the Phantom 2. So if you have any ideas for how I should modify it or any ideas you have for it, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'll try to respond as quickly as I can. So overall, I think this set is absolutely awesome and is quite easily one of my favorite sets that I own in my Star Wars collection. So anyway, that's all I really have to talk about in this video. But yes, absolutely phenomenal set, and I am quite happy with it. I hope you all have a great day, and thanks for watching.